Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conflict, one should offer respect to obeisance to the personality of God, to Narayana Rishi, and to the Saraswati, goddess of learning, and to Sri Vyasdev. By regular attendance to the classes of Bhagavatam, by regular service to pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is also completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of God, whose praise is transcendental songs, established as the river of
Before I say anything else, I want to see. Can you raise your hand if you're here or something? Okay, good. A few does on the side. So, yeah, it's a great opportunity to be able to study the Srimad Bhagavatam together and hear from sages, the wisdom of the sages, the wisdom of the texts, and our acharyas who write commentaries for us. So we pray that they act as a medium, help share some of that wisdom too. So on that note, just to remind us that we're going to chant some other invocation. Just follow along. Like, Om Gyanatyanandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumilitam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manavisham Shaktam Yena Bhutale Swayam Bhagavatam
Maybe it's not like
Hare Krishna Karuna Sindhu Jivana Kapate Gopesha Gopina Aptakanchana Gita Avishwari Vishwamisheri Anjakapada Yuvasya Vivasya Evacha Patitanam Bhakti Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya
Let's try.
Shri Advaita Hare Krishna 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 Hare
Maybe we should try stretching. Let's try.
So actually, let's start with the last verse from yesterday. Let's go back one, just to see where we left off. So today our section is from verse 38, but look at 37. So the last thing Krishna said in yesterday's section, I'll read it for us. A realized soul no longer sees anything as separate from me, for his realized knowledge of me has destroyed such illusory perception. Since the material body and mind were previously accustomed to this kind of perception, may sometimes appear to recur, but at the time of death, self-realized soul achieves opulence equal to mind. So a self-realized soul no longer sees anything separate from Krishna. Who's self-realized? Both hands. Zach? Zach's been nominated. Other than Zach, so Zach's self-realized, but for the rest of us, Krishna's going to give some important information. The first of today's verses. 38. So, let's go back. Yeah. Okay. So, one who is detached from sense gratification, knowing its results to be miserable, and who desires spiritual perfection, but who has not seriously analyzed the process for obtaining it, should approach a bona fide and earnest spiritual master. Okay. Sorry, you're self-realized? Okay, good. If you're self-realized, then that's good. But if not, you have to approach a spiritual master. Go to the next one. 39. Okay. Until the devotee has clearly realized spiritual knowledge, he should continue with great faith and respect and without envy to render personal service to the Guru is non-different. Okay, so this is the main issue with spiritual master, service to the spiritual master. What does that really entail? It's most definitely what Krishna is recommending for all of us who are not yet please self-realized. So let's, before we
so what is happening, what is in verse 38 and 39 is that they're really stressing the importance of approaching a bona fide. So why do you think they're stressing the importance of approaching a guru and not just, reading the text by ourselves?
Because conditioned soul has four imperfections that are hurt from receiving senses. Their illusion senses don't perceive properly. It can see mistakes of cheat. So you want to go to someone who has become free from this imperfections. So that see you and Shastra clear error.
So the only way that we can realize spiritual knowledge, the only way that spiritual perfection, excuse me, is by the mercy of, through the mercy of the Guru, we receive the mercy of Krishna, right? So if we learn how to please the Guru and serving him, we learn how to please Krishna. And how do we please Krishna in this time and place? Well, we push the mission of the Guru.
Thinking also on the same point, but with said, sometimes when there's a baby bird and a big bird, the big bird will assimilate and chew the food or giving to the little bird. So I was thinking like that. Not necessarily understand all the spiritual knowledge, but the Guru has assimilated it and make it easy for us to digest, especially. And I think many of us have noticed that spiritualized beginning, it's like everything's difficult, finally so difficult to understand, but then over time it becomes easy.
But isn't the Guru also, human being subject to human error? Like they can get something or do something or stub your toe or like the Guru is also a human being who's going to make mistakes. So how do we know that the person also make mistakes?
So, correct. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but Guru is not supposed to be completely omniscient, omnipresent, omniscient, omnipresent like Krishna is. Still on this planet with us today. Basically, they're not all knowing in the sense that they will always say the perfect thing. But in terms of spiritual knowledge, that's where it's really Guru shares spiritual knowledge with us. Simply by repeating what they learned from their Guru, it's how you know it's modified. Just make sure to serve their Guru, like their Guru serve their Guru. That way the knowledge is passed down. It's not the Guru's business to know everything about every corner of this material universe. Like once someone asked Prabhupada, I think something like, does he know how many stacks do? And Prabhupada explained that it's not the business of the Guru. Omniscient, know everybody. The Guru simply gives Krishna. I don't know if that answers. Okay. Sorry, we'll take more comments later. There will be time for comments. So let's dive into the purport for verse 39. It's basically going to echo what Elijah shared with us. Would anyone like to read this purport for us?
As stated by Srila Vishnu Chakravarti in his Guru Ashtaka prayers, Yasya Prasada Bhagavad Prasada, one receives the mercy of the Supreme Court. The devotee who has been blessed by his Guru, his spiritual knowledge, becomes qualified directly to engage in the mission of Supreme Personality. Srila Prabhupada always emphasized that service to spiritual masters in separation, pushing on the mission of the Guru, is the highest form of devotional service. The word Paricharit in this verse indicates
waiting upon one's master by rendering. In other words, one who has not clearly realized the spiritual master should remain very close to the Guru before falling down. But one who has acquired realized knowledge by the mercy of the spiritual master may expand the spiritual master's mission by traveling around the world, preach Krishna consciousness.
I like the one part of that report especially. It's like the most important part. It says, Srila Prabhupada always emphasized that service to the spiritual master is separation, pushing on the mission of the Guru, the highest form of devotional service. That's not a light or insignificant statement. It's the highest form of devotional service. So one cannot emphasize enough how important it is to get involved with the spiritual master, find out how to please the spiritual master. In the text for 39, Krishna said, you should continue with great faith and respect without envy to render personal service to the Guru who is not different from you. Yes, my body concern. I just become a guru as a Krishna, right? Is that what that means? Not quite, right? What does Krishna mean when he says the Guru is not different?
So, we do the Guru Varnashrama morning, and there's one, verse 7, right? That one, if you read the translation, it's the spiritual master is to be honored as much as the Supreme Lord, as he is the most confidential servant of the Lord. So this verse is saying that the Guru is not different from Krishna, but not in the sense that, it is Krishna. It's that the Guru should be honored as the same way as you honor Krishna. Is the most confidential.
Okay, so we'll just continue reading the verses we have for today. So let's start from 40. And then you see 40 and 41.
One who does not control the 6 forms of illusion, lust, anger, greed, excitement, false pride, and intoxication, whose intelligence, the leader of the senses, is extremely attached to material things, who is bereft of knowledge and detachment, who adopts the sannyas order of life to make a living, who denies the worshipable demigods, his own self, and the Supreme Lord within himself, thus ruining all religious principles, and who is still infected by material contamination, is deviated and lost both in this life and the next.
Okay, I'm just going to remind everyone. So we had these verses about serving the spiritual master, but what section are we in? Basically, Krishna is just again summarizing the Varnashrama system, right? So that's what he's getting into now. So basically, this verse is showing that if you're not properly situated and you're overcome by various vices and attachments, it's not the best path to be on. So that's the use of Varnashrama Dharma, is to keep us kind of controlled. Okay, so 42.
The main religious duties of a sannyasi are equanimity and non-violence, whereas for the vanaprastha, austerity and philosophical understanding of the difference between the body and soul are prominent. The main duties of a householder are to give shelter to all living entities and perform sacrifice. And the brahmachari is mainly engaged in serving the spiritual master.
A householder may approach his wife for sex only at the time prescribed for getting children. Otherwise, the householder should practice celibacy, austerity, cleanliness of mind and heart, satisfaction in his natural position, and friendship toward all living entities. Worship of me is to be practiced by all human beings, regardless of social or occupational origins.
One who worships me by the prescribed duty, having no other object of worship, and who remains conscious of me as present in all living entities, achieves unclenching and also serves me.
Yeah.
Dear Buddha, and see you, Lord of all worlds and strengths and things which may cause. And must thou search for and wishes and so it comes to
Thus, one who has purified his existence by execution of his prescribed duties, fully understands my supreme position and throws it down with scriptural and realized knowledge very soon achieves it.
Those who are followers of this Varnashrama system accept religious principles according to the authorized traditions of proper conduct. And such Varnashrama deeds are dedicated to loving service, their will to supreme perfection of life.
my dear saintly Uddhava, I have now described to you, just as you inquired, the means by which my devotee perfectly engaged in his prescribed duty, come back to the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
So Krishna's summarizing the different ashrams here. There's one verse which says that the brahmachari is engaged in serving the spiritual master. The grihastha has to take care of other living entities. The vanaprastha is engaged in austerities and also philosophical knowledge, which helps us to detach from the body. And then the sannyas is focusing on equanimity and non-violence. I have a trick question. So the brahmachari serves the spiritual. So once you are done with brahmachari ashram, you just stop serving the spiritual master. Why is it only mentioned there with the brahmachari? You know, just a few verses ago, Krishna was saying anyone who isn't fully self-realized is to approach and serve the spiritual master. Why is it brahmachari spiritual master? John, do you have a microphone?
Because the brahmachari is supposed to self-realize.
Not quite, not quite. All the other ashrams are also to help us. Robert?
Brahmacharya is like the first ashram, and you're learning, and you don't, but you don't want to get in your head that you know everything because you're in the first ashram.
Okay. Yes. Right, okay. So Adishram is giving us a hint. Basically, the brahmachari in traditional Vedic society would live with the spiritual master. And the service, I'm pretty sure what the verse is saying is the brahmacharis are rendering direct service. Literally like cooking for the guru, going out to gather ingredients, gathering firewood, just like Krishna, Balaram, and Sudama were doing. And so, but that's not the only ashram in which is serving the spiritual master, but there's a more direct form of service there. That's why it's specifically mentioned first brahmachari. But what we're gonna just go.
They are cumulative. In other words, experiences in brahmacharya ashram are very important. And those combined experiences and education, etc., carry forward to the body process, kind of like this. Changing clothes, eating that, etc. Cumulative.
Thank you, Guru. Yes, very, very nice point. It's not that these things are only relevant to one ashram, carries over places. No, it's a form of knowledge and progression. So definitely carry on. It's a very nice point. And there's another reason why it's not just the brahmachari that serves the spiritual master. Given a few, but remember what we were saying in the last two classes as well. We have to contextualize and take these Bhagavatam verses and apply them correctly to our time, place, and circumstance. So the lifestyles that are explained here, especially the previous two classes, doesn't really fit in so well in our current social and cultural milieu, right? I mean, are you gonna wear tree bark and go to Publix? during that? Definitely not. So, what is our context? We discussed it's being part of the Sankirtan movement, part of Lord Chaitanya's mission. So we must learn the skill of contextualizing this about Advaita Prabhu. We're part of that movement, right? So we have to practice the skill of contextualizing, looking at what the Bhagavatam is saying, which is still relevant, but we have to apply it nicely. So let's do a little exercise. I'm wondering if some of you can remember some of the strange things. Well, not strange in the sense that it's really outside of our frame of reference. Do you remember any of them that were mentioned in the last two classes for sannyasis and Varnashrama? So mention something that's a little far out, and then also contextualize it. Tell us how we can apply that principle and change it a little bit for our current context. Yes, Rose.
So the Varnashrama doesn't groom at all, and then basically in the wintertime, they do their sadhana up to the neck in cold water, and during the summer they surround themselves with fires and stand in hot sun in the sun.
So how would we, what would the Varnashrama do based to it, to embody the same principle of practice?
Take on those just basic austerity, and the principle is to step up the purification from material modes. So give oneself more fully to the same.
Exactly. Any other example?
Yeah. So the brahmacharis deal with the spiritual master, which does, not everybody has a chance to the spiritual master, sort of personally.
Now let's go back to this house. I love that. Pretty fun.
Then when the process of the forest, you don't see that.
So how would we apply this in our context?
Okay, so we start on this scenario Buddhist national, and they kind of embody how spiritual master for us. Of course, there's instruction that spiritual master gives, but it's practical application of the circumstances we're in. Instead of going to the forest, bring a house into the temple. I've traveled greatly last week, and I saw this for a Mal family. Walking the house, it's a temple. There's a temple room, museum, and temple room, just beautiful.
Right. Right.
From electricians, temple room.
Right. So the idea with the forest is that you break from this dense city atmosphere. But right here in Gainesville, even though you can definitely hear the muscle cars going by, that being said, there's definitely a spiritual atmosphere. It's a bubble right here. That's a very nice spiritual connection. Maybe one last example.
Angel is also known as city of trees.
Yeah. The forest road.
But yeah, I heard a joke a while back. And across it, I also take by the van and start traveling.
Van across the
But in regards to those lists of like outstanding and outrageous things that are related to really nice or like you mentioned the tree bark and brushing the
That's not good for preaching, right?
well, today not only brush but we also floss.
So contextualizing is extremely important. Now thinking about this idea of the spiritual master, serving the spiritual master, I have some ideas for you. So we're part of the Sankirtan movement. What does Sam mean? Where does that word come from? Togetherness? Yes. Doing something together. Sankirtan means glorifying the Lord together. So togetherness, a community. And I use this example a lot, but it's relevant. Like in a war. Is there anywhere where you have to focus more on being a tight-knit unit in a war or battle scenario? Not really, right? A war, of course, we're not using bullets and bombs, but the spiritual master and Lord, it's a war. It really is a war. So in that, keeping that in mind, just think about it, how important it is to have structure, have some sort of hierarchy actually. And beyond that, on a deeper level, also a family bond. So these are integral parts of the Sankirtan movement. And the spiritual master is actually the thread that keeps everything right. That mood of serving others. So just a quick recap. Krishna was mentioning that it's very important for the spiritual master. And then he was also mentioning the different beauties of ashrams. And in the second last verse, Krishna was also saying that the purpose of these ashrams, Varnas, is just so we can remember them, give some service to Krishna. And then taking these verses and putting it in our context, serving in Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan, then we can understand even more how important it is to have a spiritual master. To be eager to become part of the mission, to make the spiritual master's desires our desires. Okay, but now that we've looked at all of that, let's hone in a little more on this idea of service to the spiritual master. What is that service? How do you do it? What's the mood? How do you approach it? Is there a Bhagavad Gita verse maybe? Okay, so that's 434, right? Maybe it's already open. Let's quickly have a look. Okay.
All right. So just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Acquire from him submission and render service unto him. The self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you so that see the truth. Okay. So what does this mean? To acquire submissively acquire spiritual master? Well, for lack of a better word, don't be a know-it-all. Don't have a challenging attitude just for the sake of challenge. Don't inquire from the spiritual master other than with the intent to learn and become spiritually realized in order to grow in your spiritual life. But in the same breath, don't just follow blindly. Don't just accept everything that you hear, right? The purport actually says, in this verse, both blind following and absurd inquiries are condemned. Yeah, so there is a fine balance between being submissive and blindly following. Okay? So you want to approach submissively, which means to approach in a humble mood, in the mood of servant, right? You want to serve the Guru, or to learn from the Guru, grow from the Guru. So it's all about, well, firstly, it's about your intention of approaching spiritual master. And then it's also about the hard work, the work that you put into actually sincerely. So, I mean, it's great that you have the intention to specifically acquire the spiritual master, but you actually have to work your intentions of sincerity. Again, in the purport, it says that such a spiritual master should be accepted in full surrender, and one should serve the spiritual master like a servant without false prestige. Right? So we're not doing it for our own ego. We're just doing it so that we grow our own spiritual life and become souls. Okay, so this knowledge that we obtain, the spiritual knowledge that we get from the spiritual master, it's in a whole category of its own, right? It's a different kind of knowledge. And the only way that we can actually receive this knowledge is through sustained service. So it's very important that we approach service, wanting to serve the Guru. Another part of the purport says that inquiries and submission constitute the proper combination for spiritual understanding. So you have to be submissive, but you also have to inquire, right? You don't have to be a Guru, Namaste Guru, of course, Guru. I mean, you have questions if you have questions, but also anything of the sort.
So, Krishna described how you actually approach the spiritual master and how you try and serve him. Jivana was making it clear that it's about actually getting something spiritual, but accessing it by actually doing service to please the spiritual master and get to Christ. But now we have another question, final part of our class, and this is we're getting into some territory that we feel and what we really want to share with you. So just bear with us for this final part. So we've described serving the spiritual master and how you should do that, who you should have. But the next question is, how do you decide who you're going to serve? I have a question. Is more better? Maybe we could quickly hear. If I just ask that question.
Depends on what it is.
What?
More love.
More spiritual
Well,
master.
into spiritual.
More spiritual master.
Like Gopi.
Collect them all. Any ideas? No? Microphone? For those listening on
Quality is usually, in fact, it's usually not direct.
quantity, right? So we want, that's a good answer, thank you. So we definitely want quality over quantity. But what if you can have quality and quantity? We ever thought about that? Is also? Quality. So the point I'm trying to make is that there are actually many advanced devotees now. I promise. We don't have the eyes to see it. Unfortunately, we don't have the eyes to see it. Lord Chaitanya gives his own formula for who is fit to be a spiritual master. In Madhya Lila, the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it says, Kiba Vipra Kiba Nyasi Shudra Kene Non. Ye Krishna Tattva Veda Se Guru Hoy. And the translation is, whether one is a Brahmana, a sannyasi, or a Shudra, regardless of what he is, he can become a spiritual master if he knows the science of Krishna. And science of Krishna doesn't just mean academics and theoretical thing. It means in their life, in their lifestyle, in their practice. They know about Krishna and they carry Krishna in their hearts. Okay? So basically, with that verse, what Chaitanya is saying, hold on, be careful. Don't try and think about who's a spiritual master by just looking at externals. But we love looking at externals, don't we? We're actually hyper-focused on the externals and constantly judging others based on externals. Why do we do this? After all, it's the operating system that we've installed in our hardware, right? Looking at externals. Because the way our mind is working and the way we've been using our mind is to gratify our senses. And when you want to gratify your senses, you constantly have to look at the material energy and accept and reject and try and measure up what's going to be the best for me and my senses. So that's the kind of mentality we're going with. And then we approach other living beings, other human beings in that same way, just looking at externals. That's kind of dangerous, though. So, again, I'm asking, what if you could have quantity and quality? So let's say Zach. He's identified someone that really inspires him, and that's going to be Zach's teacher. He's going to take initiation from that person, but only that person. He's like, this is my guru. Everyone else, stay out of my way. Stay in your lane. I'm focusing on this guru. And he could be very inspired by that person, but maybe that guru has 10,000 disciples, or 5,000 or 2,000. And Zach is in touch with his guru every now and then, maybe gets a letter back once a year or once in 5 years. So, okay, Zach is going to have his spiritual life like that. Meanwhile, Nisha, she also has someone that she's identified that she wants to take initiation from one day. She wants that person as a Diksha guru. But Nisha also has realized that there are many senior devotees around. And she thinks of them as her spiritual masters as well. Right? And she can see that those persons have captured Krishna, kind of locked Krishna tightly in their hearts. So, a simple question for you. Who do you think is going to benefit more? It's a straightforward point, right? We all know the saying that it takes a village to raise a child. So we want to caution you in this class. Be careful of missing the opportunity. There's so many devotees that are very advanced, walking in our midst. But if we judge too much by externals, we might just miss them and miss out on a great opportunity to make our spiritual advancement. So we're cautioned in the same way in the nectar of instruction. Is it 6?
Does someone want to read this translation?
Raskabaru? Oh, and thank you, Raskabaru. You reminded me about this verse when we were speaking yesterday. So that's why it's included.
Being situated in its original Krishna conscious position, a pure devotee does not find the body. Such a devotee should not be seen from a materialistic point of view. One should overlook a devotee having a body born in a family, a body with a bad complexion, deformed body, or a diseased or infirm body. According to ordinary vision, such imperfections may seem prominent in the body, but despite such seeming defects, the body of a pure devotee cannot be. It is exactly like the waters of the Ganges. Sometimes during the rainy season are full of bubbles, foam, but Ganges waters do not become polluted. Those who are advanced in spiritual understanding will bathe in the Ganges without considering conditional water.
So this verse.
Yeah, so this verse is just emphasizing that we should not be concerned, right? Because our main business is devotional service. So we want to look at service, not our bodily designations.
So, what are some of the bodily designations? And Varna and Ashram is an extension of the body, like this argument. Because you go into a certain Varna and Ashram based on your guna and your karma, your qualities, and the work that you do, which is very much also related to the body. Sometimes your mind, but the mind is the subtle body, it's an extension of the body as part of it. So what are some of the designations that we look at based upon which we're judging other books? So one of them is Grasta. Okay. So there's definitely, we're just speaking for ourselves. You can judge for yourself if it's or not. But there's definitely a tendency to very quickly think highly of and have utmost respect for a sannyasi, right? And don't get me wrong, someone who is in the sannyas ashram of life, 9 times out of 10, they're very inspired in their Krishna consciousness, and they're very inspiring to others. But does this mean that there's no grihastas that are similar? Are there no grihastas that are very inspired, that are inspiring others, that are very advanced in spiritual practice? Okay. What's another body designation?
Woman, so woman is a woman. I'm going to give you a very brief story time. We don't actually have a lot of time. But I joined movement in South Africa. And that's a place that doesn't have a lot of senior devotees visiting. So when a senior devotee would visit, it's generally a sannyasi. So we didn't have a lot of female Prabhupada disciples visiting, giving class, or grihastas giving classes, coming to festivals and stuff like that. So there was a definite mood in how we would treat sannyasis, how we would treat grihastas, and how we would treat women. But I moved here to America, specifically to Alachua, where I'm like up to my eyeballs in senior devotees, and it's amazing. But I came with that mood of sannyasi restaurant woman. So it was really nice to come here and just have like the glass completely shatter and just realize that they're all actually on the same level, right? They're all actually just trying to serve their guru. They're just trying to serve Prabhupada and push the mission, and they themselves, don't think that they're better than the others. It's like our ordinary vision where we're like, oh, so maybe we should put extra energy into serving the sannyasi and a little less energy to serving the grihastas. But that's just our own ordinary vision. So I came to the realization, or I'm still coming to the realization, that they're not different, and they're just trying to serve their spiritual master of servant of the servant. And recently I actually read this book, Bond of Love. It's about Srila Prabhupada's daughters, his female disciples. And that one also really increased my appreciation for the senior devotees and Prabhupada, because he shows us that he has equal vision. He did not discriminate according to bodily designations. I mean, men, women, he sent them out to book distribution, do sankirtan, travel, preach, open centers, right? As long as they were just spreading the mission. So it really showed me that all these senior disciples, they are actually all bona fide gurus. They're just playing their roles in their different ashrams because them to show how the different ashrams function, right? But they're all actually spiritual masters, and they should all be taking shelter at their lotus feet. But now, as I say this, I have to also ask myself, am I using my ordinary vision to put the Prabhupada disciples on top? Do I view them in a special lens because they're Prabhupada disciples? What we have to realize, and it's all included, is that anyone can be near and dear. Anyone can be a spiritual master. There are so many senior devotees in the movement that we should take shelter of Prabhupada Buddhas, So, because we're all just trying to push the mission.
So, in conclusion, we'll have questions and answers soon. In conclusion, Krishna is urging us in text 38 and 39 to approach a spiritual master. But what we wanted to share is we really firmly believe that, yes, that means Diksha Guru, but Shiksha Guru is also there, very important. The Guru is many. And we have to try and, imagine if you're in a university, maybe you like math the most, but does that mean you're going to flunk all your other classes? You're going to learn from all your professors. You're going to try and have as full of an educational experience as you can. So just be careful. Don't judge other devotees too quickly based on their externals. There are many advanced devotees walking around us. So I'll end with something Gopi Swami was saying. It's really, really nice. He says that, your motto is that seeing is believing, but you're a defective soul. How can you see? So I think all of us often, we realize, okay, we can't see God, but we know that's because we have to advance first. Why do we think it's any different with sadhus, with advanced devotees? Why do we quickly recognize them? Both Krishna and his pure devotees are both on the Shuddha Sattva, pure transcendental platform, which our vision is blurred for. So why do we think we can see the sadhus? Right? Gopi Swami here says, you always think that you are drashta, the seer, and that the sadhu is drishta, the one to be seen. Everyone is like this. They think they are the seers, but it is just the reverse. You are to be seen, and they are the seer. And if you serve them nicely, then they'll reveal themselves to you. So that's all we wanted to share today. comments or questions? We wanted to say something first and then come to Spirit. Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you for a very nice class. I was thinking when you were talking about people judging Grihastha gurus, that's an external. But if you see our Gaudiya history in the biography of Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, he often and occasionally he went to Godruma Dweep to hear Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur recite Srimad Bhagavatam. And in those days it was opposite because it was not very normal to a Babaji who is even outside the Varnashrama system is inspired by a Grihastha, Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So it was not normal in those days. So people, because generally Grihasthas are taking shelter of the Babajis and Sannyasis, right? Because they have given up everything and they are renounced. So that came in my mind, like, yes, our parampara and our Gaudiya history is not as such to judge someone by their externals again in ashram, Grihastha ashram or what. So yeah, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj is the inspiration for us.
Thank you both for the class. It was wonderful. But I have a question. Tulasi was talking about submissively serving the spiritual master and not being challenging and things like that, improving your sincerity to want to obtain the knowledge that they have to give. But I just wanted to ask, how can we prove our sincerity? How can we show the spiritual master that we love them and that we want to learn from them and that we want to be surrendered to them?
The first thing is just time and energy. They can easily see when we're sacrificing that, when we're sacrificing our time and energy. And that constitutes a very nice form of sincerity. You know? Of course, that's also relative to our life situation. The guru understands that some might have a difficult job or might have many kids, and then their time and energy is limited. But it's not about what you give, it's about what you're holding back. So if someone is a brahmachari and they have the whole day, then they should be giving 24 hours a day to the guru. If someone's a grihastha and they have very little free time, but they use that hour or half an hour that they have a day to do some service for their guru, that's really glorious. So it's really just about time and energy that we're saying. Yes, Guru,
there's the first Devupe Brahmana Brahmike Bhagavad where it explains that Krishna arranges these things both in terms of based on the sincerity which is Krishna in the heart, and so he gives direction. He gives that communication between the disciple and the spiritual master. So it's a heart thing also that even if one doesn't have any time, Prabhupada gave that example that he was very busy with other things, but he kept that idea of serving his spiritual master, that was a desire. So Krishna reciprocates.
So just like to say that through service, so maybe you don't like the service, but by doing service, you become purified and you become more sincere when approaching the spiritual master. So just trying to do something like that.
Yeah, a couple of things. So I wanted to make another point, but then I also wanted to respond to Stephen's question. So yeah, about how to serve the spiritual master and how to show our love and affection and devotion to our spiritual master. It's something that we learn in the ISKCON Disciples course, that service to ISKCON or service to the broader mission is also a service to our guru. So we don't necessarily have to be personally serving the guru. And in fact, usually the guru is more pleased when we dedicate ourselves to the mission. Going out there, doing outreach or doing service in our local temple, pleasing the local devotees, and having nice relationships with devotees. That's all service to guru. And the guru notices those things, like they understand that we're sincere, that we're serious, and we're devoted by those things. Because sometimes devotees, they want to serve the guru personally, but it's more about like, I want to get my guru's attention, I want to, be lavish with the guru's attention. I'm not saying it's your motivation, but I'm just saying that it can sometimes be like that it's more about me and, like getting the selfies with my guru or whatever. Being able to tell stories that, yeah, my guru and I did this together, rather than like, that's why the whole brahmachari thing is like, until you've developed sufficient spiritual knowledge and realization, stay with the guru.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if you're not in that association, if you don't have the personal service, you're probably gonna fall down because you don't have spiritual strength and understanding to keep going on your own. But when you've actually come to that point where you have strong realization, a solid footing in Krishna consciousness, then just dedicate yourself to the mission, and it's at the higher level. And the guru is actually more pleased with that than have somebody fumbling around trying to, cook him something that he doesn't necessarily want to eat. You know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah, what you're saying is what was in the purport for text 39.
Yeah.
I'll read it again just very quickly. Srila Prabhupada always emphasized that service to the spiritual master and separation, pushing on the mission of the guru is the highest form of devotional service. And then right at the end it says, one who has not clearly realized the teachings should remain very close to the guru to avoid falling down into illusion. But one who has acquired realized knowledge by the mercy of the spiritual master will expand the spiritual master's mission, traveling around the world to preach Krishna consciousness.
So then my other point, that I was going to mention says, I like how you brought up that kind of dichotomy thing between quality and quantity of spiritual masters. It kind of oversimplifies the matter, obviously, but the thing is that about quantity, it's not just more, but it's also different. Because it's not like replica gurus. They're individuals with their personalities, their perspectives, their own realizations and insights from different experiences that they've had. So the more perspectives we get, the more rich our understanding of Krishna consciousness is. And then when we go through spiritual life, we'll have like a whole array of issues, doubts, questions, struggles, and then we can approach the person who's really expert in that area. Yeah, so it gives us a lot of support.
Thank you. I'm going really over time, but I should end up with yeah, please.
It's just an analogy probably brought up at the beginning. Probably know guru is not perfect. That probably just Prabhupada gave the analogy of the postman just delivers. He's not perfect in that sense. Everything's perfect, but he delivers the perfect message.
Okay, thank you so much for listening.
Which one do we do?